Hi there, I am Michelle Spadafora, and I'm the host of Faithful Workouts and The Fresh Table. And I am super excited that I get to share with you some of my fun outdoor healthy tips. So when I think of outdoors, I think of the summer. I live in Colorado. It's one of the most beautiful places to be. And so I like to get outside as much as I can, and that includes when I'm cooking. So what I thought I would do is to show you some things about grilling, how to take grilling and make it healthier. Okay, so maybe you're not aware of something called HCAs. That stands for heterocyclic amines. I might be saying that slightly wrong, but I know HCAs. And HCAs are known to be carcinogenic, and for the most part, when you're eating meat that has that, I hate to say, but those great little black kind of charred bits on it, that's HCAs, and those can be very dangerous for us. So I have been doing some research on how to make grilling healthier, and there's ways that you can minimize the HCAs or minimize the effect that they have on your body. And so that's what I'm going to start with by teaching you some great marinades, and I'll go on and teach when we're on the grill how to again lower the HCAs. But I want to start with just showing you some marinades. And this first marinade I'm going to show you, you can use any of these marinades on anything you want, but I'm going to put this first marinade together with some pork, and you can use pork tenderloin, you can use pork chops, whatever you want. I have my pork here, and for me, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just put it into a clear Ziploc bag. I like baggies like this for marinating things because you can really flip it and twist it and shake it and get that great marinade over all sorts of what's in here. So right here, I have 2 pounds of pork, 2.5 pounds of pork. And now I'm going to show you how to make a marinade. And some of these ingredients, when you marinate your meat with them, it doesn't allow the HCAs to have as great an effect, okay? So one of the things that you can use with that is beer, red wine, there's different things, fresh herbs, all these different things that can help. So what I have here is 1 can of beer. You can use any kind of beer you want. There's some studies that show that stouts or darker beers can have a greater effect, but just any type of beer you have would be great. The next thing I'm going to show you, and I'm going to be using lime juice in quite a few of the recipes that I'll be showing you, is right here. This is a lime. So one of the little tricks about trying to get more juice out of your lime, hold it in your hand, roll it like that. That loosens up some of the juice in there. And then I'm going to cut that in half. And often you can interchange lemons or limes for a lot of the recipes, just a slightly different flavor. And so here I have this great little gadget. If you don't have one, you just want to put like a little strainer or something over it, or you want it, then if you don't have that, you'll have to go and then just pick out the seeds if we don't get them out. One of the things that I also like to do is I like to take, and I've already washed the outside of my lime, but I love to put lime in my water. So what I'll do is I'll take this, instead of just throwing it away, I'm going to go ahead and put it into a glass here, and then I'll do another one, and then I can have this, when I have water later, I can have some nice lime flavored water. All right, so you're seeing just how easy it is to get quite a bit of lime juice once you kind of smash on it and roll it back and forth. All right, so we've got our lime juice there. And for this recipe, I'm going to use 1/3 a cup of lime juice. Okay, so I have it right here. Love citrus. Citrus also helps with your pH balance in your body, which is important. So I'm going to put this, though, instead of right in with the beer, I'm going to put this into a small blender because I'm going to be blending some things up. I'm going to add to that 3 already peeled cloves of garlic. Put those right in. Then I'm going to put a little bit of a sweetness in here, and I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of maple syrup. Oops, there's about 1.5. There goes it. And I highly recommend, I know it's a lot more expensive, but to use pure maple syrup. Okay, you don't need a lot of it because it really does give a lot of flavor. But again, pure maple syrup. Don't use the ones that have the chemicals and the high fructose corn syrup and all of that. Then here I have what's called a hot Sriracha mustard. You can use a different type. You can use Dijon mustard. I love the kind of the sweet heat mustard. So I'm going to put in here 2 tablespoons of this great tasting mustard. All right, so we've got that in there. Then I'm going to add olive oil. Olive oil is just something I love for just about everything. And we're going to put in 2 tablespoons. It's a healthy fat. It's high in omega-3s, which are good for us for inflammation in our body. So I've got 2 tablespoons of that. All right. So now what I'm going to do is just blend this just for a minute to chop up that garlic a little bit. If you have a little food processor like this, it's nice to make it quick. There we go. I'm going to then just stir that into my beer. The other thing that's interesting is I am not here trying to promote drinking by any means, but if you do have a glass of red wine or beer while eating grilled food, it actually is better that it helps your body so that it doesn't absorb, or those HCAs don't have a negative effect on your body. Now I'm just going to put in a little bit of salt and pepper here. You do as much as you like. I like a little bit more pepper than salt, so I'm going to put that in here. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to pour this into the baggie with the pepper, with the pork, and then I'm going to let it sit. And you want to let it sit at least an hour, and you can go up to overnight is also great. So let's just pour that right in there. Good. So again, I've got about 2.5 pounds of meat here, and then all that great marinade. And be sure if you have a bag that you zip it up really well. You can also just put this into a 9x9 baking dish or something, whatever is good. But then we're going to let that, and if you let it sit on its side like this, you'll get a little bit more, and then after a while, just flip it over to keep that marinade going all over. So there you go with our first marinade. What I love about this next marinade is there's so many ways that you can make slight twists to it and give it a completely different flavor. But let me start with just the basics. What I have here are 2 red snapper fillets. You can use any type of fish you want for this, from salmon to sea bass, anything will work for this. All right, and this is going to be with a lot of fresh herbs. And again, fresh herbs help with those HCAs. It's not as much a concern when I'm cooking fish because I won't have as much of that charredness on it, but it's still good. This is a great recipe. I've used it on chicken before, all sorts of things. And what we start with here is we start with 2 cloves of garlic right there. And then we're going to add in 1/3 a cup of olive oil, and it is good to use a good olive oil. And the trick about olive oil, you want to get it in a glass container and not a clear glass, a darker glass container. So I go ahead here and I'm going to add that olive oil, and again, olive oil is good for us, so we've got that. We're using the lime juice again, so I'm going to put in 2 tablespoons of lime juice. All right, there's 1 and 2. Now, the only other thing I'm going to use here is some fresh herbs. What I have today, is a lot of oregano. So I'm doing more of a kind of that citrus, the oregano, some parsley, the garlic. And when you have fresh herbs, you can, if you want, you can hold on and pull down like this. If you ever want to get it that you're just using just the leaves, you just kind of lightly hold and pull down. And you see how I get all the leaves off? But because I'm blending this, it's okay. I can use a little bit of the stems if I want. If they're real thick, they're a little harder, like the oregano stems are a little bit thicker, a little harder to blend. So I'm just gonna go ahead here and just kind of come down on it and pull up all these leaves here. And then I also have parsley, but parsley, the stem is really easy to blend. So that's just going in whole like that. And it's just about 1 cup of total fresh herbs. So here's what you can do also. If you want to give this more of an Asian flavor, then I would suggest using basil, cilantro, and adding some fresh ginger to this recipe. If you want to make it a little bit more of a Mexican flavor, again, you can stick with some parsley, cilantro, but then I would add in there some cumin and some chili powder. So there's different ways that you can take this basic right here and add to it. So I'll put that on. I'll go ahead and just give that a quick blend like last time. Great. And this one forms a little bit more of a paste. You want it to be a little bit thicker consistency. And with fish, when we put this on the grill, we've got the skin side here. We're gonna put it skin side down, and I am not gonna suggest that you flip it when you cook it, because we wanna just kind of almost really seal and bake in those flavors into the snapper here. So put about half of it there and kind of smear it around, and then the other half. And you could also put this on the grill and then very carefully pour it over it, but what I like to do is get it on now, and then again let it sit for a while, letting these flavors really infuse into your fish. I'll top that with a little bit of pepper and a little bit of salt, and we've got our fish marinating. And I have to tell you, I often cook a lot at one time. So I'll cook a bunch of different things, especially like the pork. You saw I was making a lot of pork, because pork is such a great dish to have. If I've got it ready to go, I can reuse it in different dishes, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about that once the pork's done. But there, that is gonna be some amazing red snapper. All right, I'll be back and show you another one. All right, for our next one, I have here 8 chicken thighs. They do have the skin and bones in. You can definitely do the boneless, skinless when you do this recipe. If you are using the ones with the skin, what I suggest doing is I went in and I cut away, or if it's the skinless ones, cut away all visible fat from them, because they tend to be a little fatty, and that fat dripping down onto the flames can cause it to char up, and that's what we're trying to avoid here. So I have them washed, I have the any visible fat removed, and any extra skin. I just wanted a little bit of skin on there to give it that great crispy skin flavor, but otherwise you want to cut it off. So this is going to be an Asian recipe. And what I have here, if you've never heard of Sriracha, it's a hot chili sauce. It's an amazing, amazing flavor. We put it on lots of stuff in our house. And what I have here is 1/3 a cup of Sriracha sauce. And then I have a rice vinegar. I like to get it more plain, just a plain rice vinegar like that. And I have 1/3 a cup of that. All right. Then we have sesame oil here. And I'm going to do 1/4 cup. So still using my 1/3 cup measure, just a little bit less on that sesame oil. The sesame oil gives it just a unique taste. You can't really substitute in an olive oil or a grapeseed, any of those. They just don't have the same flavor. So I like to go ahead and do that. And then I have here something called liquid aminos. It's made by a company called Bragg. And this is a soy sauce substitute. I think it tastes better than soy sauce, but it just has a slightly different flavor, and it has much less sodium. So we're going with 1/3 a cup of that. So if you're gluten-free, great option. You could also use regular soy sauce or a gluten-free soy sauce. Here I have our maple syrup again, just giving it a little bit of sweetness to it. You could use honey, and we're going to add in 2 tablespoons of that maple syrup. Don't do any more. We're really trying to avoid too much sweetness in our diet, and so this gives it just enough to give that little bit of a sweet taste, but not too much. All right, so we'll do that. And then here I have something called hot chili oil. You can see it's got all these great little chilies on the bottom, and I'm going to just give it a good shake. You want to be careful with how much you use, so if you don't like certain things really spicy, it might be too much to add this in there. I like a little bit of spice, so I'm going to go ahead and put in 1 tablespoon of that. All right, so there we have it, and then all we're going to do is stir this up and then pour it over our chicken. We want to just, again, let it marinate in there for at least an hour, hopefully longer. And it's not going to be like a real saucy, like a ton of like a barbecue by any means. It's just enough to give it this great Asian flavor. So we'll just go ahead and pour that all over the chicken. And then we'll put this back in the fridge. You want to pull your meats out, usually maybe about a half hour, an hour before you cook them. It's important if you can let them get back to room temperature. It just, it's better to grill them that way. So here you can see, look at that. That's going to be amazing. So we're going to go ahead, and I'll make sure to kind of toss those and coat them, during the process as well. But I've got them nicely covered now. So there is the chicken. We're almost done with our different marinades. When I have a burger, there's just something about wanting some fries with it, and I make fries pretty regularly in my house. And here's what I do is I start with organic potatoes. These are organic gold, which I think have such a greater, it's like a creaminess to it almost. And the first thing that I do is I just slice them, kind of the thickness of what I want my French fry to be. Okay, so I go through and I cut them, and then we'll want to take them, and just to save time, I lay the kind of middle ones right on top and slice like that. You can see, right? Just about like French fries. And so I've already got a bunch done. I'm just putting them in here. You want to kind of separate them and try to get them into a single file when you put them into your dish. And then you want to get the oven preheated nice and hot. Like 425 is what I would do. Then I've got oil here. You can use an avocado oil, a grapeseed oil, either of those are good. And I'm just going to do a drizzle kind of over the top like this. And you do need a fair amount there. Don't go to canolas or any of the unhealthy oils. Stick with a healthy oil that really makes a difference. Like I said, one of my favorites is avocado oil. And avocado oil is also great when you're making a salad or over vegetables, because what it does, much like an avocado does, is it helps you to absorb the nutrients in the food. They say if you add an avocado into your dish or some avocado oil, you'll absorb up to 25% more of the nutrients in the food that you're eating. Then I have here 1 teaspoon, and I'm doing a mixture of some dried rosemary and dill. You can use any or you can use none. I just think that it's kind of fun to change up the flavor a little bit by doing different herbs. You could do oregano, you could do a lemon parmesan kind of on top, and then I'm just going to sprinkle that all over equally. There we go. We're going to add a little bit of salt and pepper, and you'll see that we will have legit fries. About halfway through the cooking process, probably about 10 minutes in, I'll go ahead and give them a little flip, and I'll show you what those look like in just a little bit. All right, here is a great little side dish. This is going to be a corn relish, and what I love about this corn relish is you can put it on as a side with the fish. You can put it on top of a burger. It's going to go fantastic with that pork recipe. Just a great thing to have. So here's what we've got: 1/2 cup of crushed, of diced peppers, and I made them pretty small here. If you can see that, it's about the size of an ear of corn. Okay, so I've got 1/2 cup of my different colored peppers. I have corn, and when you do this dish, I really recommend using fresh corn that you cut off the cob yourself. So if you're making corn for dinner, make a little bit extra, and then you'll have it for this corn relish. We're just going to put that in there as well, 1/2 cup. In addition, we have 1/2 cup of cucumber here. Again, nice and small pieces. And then I have 1 big green onion, 1 scallion that I have diced, and I've used the end of it too, the green part as well. So I've got all that. That's kind of the basis of it. And then I'm going to go ahead and add some of the liquids now. We're going to add 1 tablespoon of lime juice. You can see I love my citrus. Again, you could use lemon. 1 tablespoon. We're going to go ahead, and this is apple cider vinegar, and we're going to put in 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. Just like that. And then lastly here, I've got my olive oil. Again, I love to use a lot of oil, and we're going to add 1/3 cup of olive oil. There it is. Then the last thing we're going to do here is I'm going to add some fresh parsley. I've got my parsley here. Let me grab my cutting board. And all I want to do is use the leaves of this. So I'm again just pulling off those leaves. Fresh parsley, fresh herbs. It is, in my mind, the #1 thing you can do to take your food from good to better to great is to use fresh herbs. So we've got 2 tablespoons here of fresh parsley that I'm going to put into our corn relish. I'm going to add some salt, some pepper, stir it up. And again, like most things, if it sits for a little bit, it's going to, kind of those flavors are going to be really brought out more when we let that sit for a while. And again, this is great to have when you're having anything grilled. Those fresh herbs help with those HCAs. So I've got just a little bit of salt here and a little bit more pepper. Okay, just like that. I'll show it to you in a second here. Let me stir it around. Super fresh tasting, such a great dish when you're eating outdoors. Another thing I want to show you is these are these great little peppers. This is an organic pepper here, and all I've done is I've gone in and I've taken them and I've cut off the stems. And then you take a knife, and I'll show you how to do this now, because if you look in, there's still stuff in this one. All you want to do, and this is a little bit big for a knife, so be careful, you just kind of come in and you turn it around on the inside, and that gets out the kind of other stuff, and then give it a little bit of a rinse. And then what I love to do with these peppers is I'm going to put them into a bowl with some olive oil, some balsamic, some salt, pepper, and then I'm just going to let them soak for a little bit, and then we're just going to toss them right on the grill, just like this. Flip them over a couple times, and you have these wonderful peppers. And when I grill vegetables, I grill a lot of vegetables so that I can put them, make it even like into a wrap. I can add them in with my eggs. I can put them on top of a salad, into a soup. If you have these healthy things ready to go, it makes it so much easier to eat healthy, okay? All right, we're gonna show one last dish, which is going to be a super healthy dessert, and then I'm gonna take you through the grill process. Okay, I wanted to be able to show you a dessert that actually can make you healthier rather than taking away from your health. And the reason being is these berries, both the strawberries and the blueberries, have antioxidants that again can help that the HCAs don't do as much damage inside your body. So it's almost better that you eat berries and things like that with your barbecued food. And so what I have in here so far are 2 small apples that I diced up into bite-sized pieces. It was about 1.5 cups. And then I have some strawberries. And guys, berries are one of the things that we really should try to buy organic. If you need help in knowing what to buy organic, there's something called the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15. And the Dirty Dozen are the ones that we really should buy organic, berries being one of them. And so what I do is when I find them on sale, again, I buy a lot of them. And no, they won't stay fresh in your refrigerator, but you can take the greens off, wash them, and put them in your freezer and use them for something like this or into a smoothie. So I have 2 cups of strawberries, and then I have 1 cup of blueberries here. All right, and now we're gonna make a little bit of a crumble on top. Right here, I have 1/2 cup of coconut oil, and I'm gonna add to it my almond flour. Okay, now you can use regular flour as well if you want. We do mainly gluten-free in our house, so I'm gonna add that in there. And then I'm gonna add to it I have a coconut sugar here. You could use something different. You can use a maple syrup or something like that. Let's see, we're gonna do this. And then, there we go. I'm gonna add that into it. So I've got 1/3 cup here. You wanna be sure that you break it all down, just like that. Stir it up. I just realized I need to go grab 1 ingredient, so hold on 1 second there for me. Okay, here I have 1 cup of walnuts, and we want to leave these slightly chunky. We don't want it to, really blend them more into a flour like that almond flour, so a little bit of chunkiness to it. There we go. All right, so let's mix it all together. Got that. I've got the 1 cup of walnuts here. I've got my almond flour, coconut sugar, and coconut oil mixture right there. And then lastly, I'm going to add in 1 teaspoon of cinnamon right here. Okay, this is going to be a great dessert. So it's going to be similar to like a crumble or a crisp or something like that. So 1 of cinnamon there. Okay, mix it all together and then crumble it on top of your fruit here. And then preheat the oven to 375, and you'll bake that until the crust gets nice and crispy. So I guess a cross between a cobbler, a crisp, something like that. You can see what the dough consistency looks like. If it's too kind of doughy and not enough crumble to it, add a little bit more almond flour. Some almond flour is a little bit more coarse, some's a little bit more fine. So I do that, and then I'm just going to kind of take it and put little dollops all over the top of it, just like this, and then bake that up. And it's got a nice little crust on top. All right, so we'll now then go show you the grilling in just a minute. Okay, so I preheated the grill, cleaned it up, and then once it got hot, I turned it down to low because I don't want to make these super charred. A little bit of char, guy, is okay. But we're going to now close this up, and I've got the pork and all the chicken on there, and we'll keep grilling here. So here we are. We now have the chicken cooking a little bit slower up on top up there. We've got the burgers. And again with the fish, I'm not going to flip them over. They're just going to stay one-sided like this, and we'll keep it close so they have a nice almost baking effect to them. There's those peppers back there, just getting those charred as well. Okay, we have quite the feast here. I'm not necessarily saying that you're supposed to grill all these things for one meal, but I did want to do it all just so you could see it. So here is that chicken with that great Asian flavor. We've got our pork that we marinated in beer and mustard and all sorts of good things. The fish over here, look at all those fresh herbs on top. So nice with some lime and garlic. Our corn right over here, that corn relish that we made. Got a couple condiments over here, added a green salad. These are the burgers with some charred peppers, our fries, and there we have it. The dessert is still in the oven, and you should see the people standing over there. They are just cannot wait to start eating. So we're going to put an end to it here, and we're going to continue in just a little bit with this video, and I'm going to show you how, after we put this all in, how you can take it all off by working out with nothing but a park bench. We'll see you soon. I hope you enjoyed that cooking session. One of the reasons that I love to cook is that I love to sit down at a table with people and hear their stories and get to know them better. So I hope that encouraged you to get up, start doing some cooking, and just fire up that grill, but do it in a way that's really healthy. So now I want to show you, speaking of healthy, how we can do some outdoor exercise that you don't need really any equipment for. And here's the deal. I hear from people often who say, I go and I walk every day, but I'm just not noticing a change in my body. I'm not feeling like I'm getting stronger. And let me tell you, walking is great exercise. Those Fitbits where you can keep track of, how many steps you're taking. That is awesome. If you have a dog, it's always fun to take them out for a walk. But strength training and doing interval type workouts is going to probably just help you get the results that you want. So what I want to show you is if you're out going for a walk and all you have is a park bench, I want to show you some exercises that you can do when you come to that park bench. And you might be thinking, well, that's odd because I don't necessarily want to work out in a park with people around. Who cares what people think, right? Just go out and get moving. So here are some exercises. First thing is to go ahead and put your foot up on the park bench. Be sure that your heel is all the way on the bench, and then you're just going to do tap-ups. And I'm going to suggest that you do all of these moves for about 1 minute each. You might have to work your way up to that. Some of the moves are pretty challenging, but let me show you some great things that you can do when you're out in the park. Here's what a tap-up looks like. When you do that, you want to be sure that you're fully extending and your hip flexor is lengthening, and then you come back down. Okay, so that's one. You can do that on both legs. The next move is what I call a mountain climber. And what I do for this one is I put my hands on the park bench, I extend my legs out into a plank, and then I drive my knees forward as far as I can. And what I love about this exercise, it gets your cardio, it gets your legs, it gets your core, it gets your upper body. So here's what it looks like. Hands on the bench, shoulders above wrist. Okay, and an option, if that's too much, is to get into that plank and then just bring one knee forward, then the next, just like that. Okay, another one here, great strength training, is you go ahead and you sit on the bench, hands on the edge, hands right near your bottom, and then you come off and you just drop down and up, keeping the weight on your hands. This is a great exercise for your tricep or the back side of your arms here. Next one for your core is you sit down on the bench, lean back so your back is almost touching, but not quite. And then you just want to take and lift up a leg, down, lift. So you can see I'm not touching, and I'm bringing that knee up as high as I can. Then push-ups, great exercise. Hands nice and wide for these because we're working more of our chest, and you want to push your body straight up. So from here, here's what it looks like. Down, and now when I'm up, my shoulders are directly above wrist. There you go. Good. Another one for your core, because it's so important that we work core, is to sit down, lean back, and just twist. Really twisting your shoulders, not just your hands, twisting like that.
And I'll show you just a few more because I don't want to overwhelm you. Come back into that plank position. I love plank position exercises because it really works so many muscles in our body. Hold here. Just jump those feet in and out. Great. All right, and then when you're done with that, you'd want to go ahead and add some stretching into it. And by stretching, you can put your foot up on that bench and just stretch that hamstring. You can come forward onto the bench, feeling a stretch here in your hip flexor. And then you can also just put that leg down, do some calf stretches. It doesn't have to take more than about 10, 15 minutes, but it will really make a difference in how you're feeling. So again, those step ups, the mountain climbers, the tricep dips, all of those are great exercises to really strengthen your body and your muscles. And I just want to close by letting you know that I am part of a group called Faithful Workouts and the Fresh Table, like I had mentioned at the beginning of the video. And the Fresh Table is all about cooking healthy, giving you confidence so that you can get into the kitchen and sit around the table and sharing a meal with people that you love. And then Faithful Workouts is really all about helping you to get strong, mind, body, and soul. We really get it all covered. So if you want, we have a completely free plan, and I mean that, it's completely free. And we have over 200 exercise videos. We have cooking shows, recipes, a reading plan to help you grow spiritually stronger. So check it out. Go to faithfulworkoutsplan.com. You can see that link right down below, but faithfulworkoutsplan.com. And if you ever have any questions, you need some additional help, you can always send me an email. It's Michelle@faithfulworkouts.com. And I'm just so thankful that I had this opportunity because I really do. I love to get outdoors. I love to get out and cook some healthy meals around that grill. Love to get out, work out with something as simple as a park bench. So I hope that this inspires you to take better care of your body because I'm telling you, you only have one body here on earth, right? And it's just so important that we take care of this body so that we can live fully. It's so important that we have our motives in the right place when it comes to taking care of our body. It's not about the scale and it's not about the size of your pants. It's about just treating this one body that you've been given with some love and just taking care of it so that you can actually go out and have the energy to serve and love on others as well. So I hope you enjoyed this time. And if you, like I said, have any questions, just send me a note. Thanks.
I've enjoyed our time together, and I hope that you learned some things about the outdoors, about grilling foods that are a little bit healthier. You can do that through the marinades, through the foods that you serve with the grilled items by cooking it a little bit slower. And then also, I hope you learned some things that you can do just on a park bench. You don't really need a ton of equipment and not even a ton of time to get into better shape. Here's the deal. So often when we want to make moves towards better health, we think that we have to, just change everything that we're doing in our life. And I'm going to work out 6 days a week and I'm never going to eat sweets and I'm never going to eat bread and I'm not going to drink any alcohol, all that kind of stuff. No, just start taking baby steps. So I ask you, what can you do today that can start moving you towards better health? Initiate some goals. Write them down. When we write things down, we have such a greater chance of actually reaching those goals. And I just want to let you know that we have a plan called Faithful and Fit. I've probably talked briefly about it throughout the cooking and the workout, but if I haven't told you, it's a completely free online plan. And we have over 250 exercise videos, something no matter where you are in your fitness journey, from needing to sit in a chair for your workout to wanting to do jump squats and push-ups and all sorts of hard moves. And we also have online cooking videos. We have a cooking show called The Fresh Table, and there I teach you how to make quick, healthy meals in a fun way. And then we also have a lot of resources to help you with kind of your emotional and spiritual health. So I would highly recommend you check out our Faithful and Fit plan. And if you know of anybody else who could really benefit from this program, please feel free to invite them. You know that if you do try to make changes with someone else, someone who's kind of there holding you up accountable, going on the journey with you, you have a much greater chance of succeeding. So my hope, and the reason that I've done this video, and really the reason that I do all things, is that I want you to live fully. I want you to be able to experience joy, peace, and good health. So check out our Faithful and Fit plan. Thanks.